Consent is just a way for you to avoid responsibility for your own bad activities. Okay, folks, so there is a YouTube channel that is called Jubilee, and they host group debates like pro versus anti-abortion, or trans men versus actual men on masculinity. They have like 8 million subscribers on YouTube. Well, today we're going to analyze one of their videos about alpha versus beta males. This video is sponsored by our friends over at Provia.
Okay, clip number 1.
Step forward if you agree with the prompt. Men are designed to want to sleep with multiple women.
Yeah, I would say I definitely agree that men, want to sleep with multiple women. I think it's natural because one of the things is because we have so much sperm and that we produce so much sperm, and that makes us want to repopulate the earth basically. And so a lot of times what happens is I think that society is telling men not to do that for whatever reason, you know what I mean? And some guys fall into that, but I definitely believe that, men actually want to be with multiple women because it's just a natural thing in us. This is why you hear all the time, men always cheating and guys feel like they, trying to hide the cheating and everything like that. And if it was natural for them to just want to be with that one woman, then cheating wouldn't even be an issue. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I look at it. Like, I feel like because that desire is there, it's a natural thing for, if we're talking specifically men, that desire to want to do it is natural in us. So then therefore you're going to want to do it. So I don't think it's a natural thing to just be with this one woman, but at the same time, when I'm with this one woman, I only want to stay with her. It's almost like I'm lying to myself if I just want to be with her. You know what I mean?
Oh, this is an amazing transformation, right? So the original statement that men want to sleep with more than one woman, that's obviously true. I mean, that's just basic evolutionary biology. It's true in the animal kingdom. It is true in males, in bonobos, and chimpanzees, and like literally all of the closest animal relatives to Homo sapiens. That is true, that the males wish to procreate with multiple females. And that is not because of sperm count. That is because of testosterone, which is indeed linked to reproductive capacity. However, the shift from it is unnatural for a man to be monogamous to it is therefore good for a man to be non-monogamous is the thing that's kind of amazing. And it demonstrates the utility of civilization. Civilization takes that aggressive male sexual instinct and it channels it toward one woman building a family, right? That is actually what civilization is designed to do. It's why the institution of marriage is a good institution. But notice how that particular person shifts immediately into authenticity. Well, it's not authentic then for me to be just with one woman. Who says that authenticity is supposed to be your moral standard? Most of the things we rely upon in civilization are inherently inauthentic. That doesn't mean they're bad. They're actually quite good.
How do you define, I guess before we get into this video and you can see how they make these people into characters, alpha and beta males?
Alpha male wants to protect, defend, and provide for his wife and his children. And a beta male is a person who doesn't believe either they have the obligation to do those things or authenticity calls them not to do those things or anything else. So I actually think that it's sort of a beta attitude to say that your authentic desire to do something means that it is a thing you ought to do.
Beta! Yeah, I agree. I think a man can absolutely be head over heels in love with a woman and still sleep with other women and it not mean anything to him.
Right.
And I think all men have the proclivity to want to sleep with other women. Now, whether they're able to speak to that and actually act on that or not, or if they've been able to, like you said, religiously find a way to work around it. And I think religion has been great for that because if it weren't for religion, we probably would not have society. But I think what's most important to identify is that a man should create choice in his life. And if you have choice, you should be able to do as you wish, particularly like in your case, like in my case, if there's no deceit.
Exactly.
It's the lying. That, in my opinion, is actually the overall problem.
No, that is not the overall problem. Again, now, what he says at the beginning there, that religion has created the structures that you actually need and that's created civilization, that's true. But again, we keep coming back to the alpha male in modern society is still rooted in a fundamental libertinism, still rooted in the idea that the highest value is not duty to others, right? Duty to your wife, duty to your kids. That the highest duty is rooted in what's good for me. What is the thing I want to do? And if she consents, and as long as I'm not lying, it's totally fine. Well, no, actually, you can do horrible things that other people consent to. Consent is not the highest value. Consent is just a way for you to avoid responsibility for your own bad activities.
Here's the beta.
I think it's a society thing. Like what you just said, who's making them feel guilty about not doing it? Other men. The reason, I think women and men, the question was, do you feel that men are meant to sleep with multiple women? Or they're just, that's what they do. And I don't think that's true. I think it's a part of your character and who you are. I do believe that if you're going to be honest with your partner is into it, but do I believe that we are biologically meant and it's in our head because we have to procreate and this and that. I don't believe that. I believe the reason we do it a lot is because it's looked upon as a great thing for men to have multiple women.
This is so crazy. So there are a couple things about this that are totally crazy. One, what he's saying about biology is just idiotic.
You're so stupid!
Again, the idea that men are not pre-programmed to want to sleep with multiple women, when again, throughout the animal kingdom, it is the case that the male of the species have a higher desire for sexual activity with multiple different partners.
Can I kiss you?
Sure.
It's just not true. This idea that everything is defined by societal whim. What's totally crazy about this is they end up agreeing on the morality. This is how you know there are no actual alpha males in this conversation. Because if you end up agreeing on the morality, which is whatever floats your boat, then there are no actual alpha males in the conversation. Whatever floats your boat is not morality. It is amorality. And amorality is a form of immorality.
Shame, totally. I have one son and two daughters, and I know the difference of how I felt when they were 15. They're in their 20s now. They were 15 versus him having multiple partners or my daughter.
Well, let me ask you this, though, because you said you're bisexual. So that means you're attracted to men and women, right? So if you're with a woman, well, aren't you also attracted to men? So wouldn't you want a man and a woman?
No.
So you're just like, I just want one, and that's
I made a commitment. And it's not even like I'm...
But there's no urge to want
There's always
more?
urge.
That's what we're talking about.
But that doesn't mean that I'm biologically... I think men and women both have urges.
Where do you think the urge is coming from, though, if it's not biologically inside of you?
I think the urge comes from... I don't think it's a biological thing. I think
temptation, not urge.
But the urge creates temptation, no?
But is temptation bad? Like you say it in a way that's kind of like temptation.
I don't think temptation's bad.
Yeah. My God. It's painful to watch. First of all, I love that the urges, where do they come from? Temptation. What makes it tempting? I don't know.
I don't even know. Like, I can't even tell you that.
And then they immediately go back to the parts where they agree, which is temptation bad? Well, I mean, if you fall prey to the temptation, then yes. Yes. You're supposed to avoid temptation, actually. This is what happens when you have a value-free system, and then what you basically have are people with high T and people with low T arguing with each other, but agreeing on the value system.
How about the idea they spoke about in one of the first clips about how a man can have sex with a woman and feel absolutely nothing, therefore it's not the same.
Yeah, so what he says there, right, so in that clip where he says a man can have sex with a woman and feel absolutely nothing, that is true. Okay, it's something that women fundamentally do not understand about men. And again, that goes back to the root biology, which is, it makes sense, right? If evolutionary biology is building women so that they have to be very selective about their sexual partners because they could get pregnant from that sexual partner, and then they're going to have a genetic offspring with that person, that means that you want to form an emotional connection that has a connection to sex, and that is going, because again, the result of that thing could be procreation with that person. So you'd want to have sex with a person who theoretically you could procreate with. The emotional attachments formed by women over sex are significantly higher than the emotional attachments formed by men with regard to sex. We'll get to more on this in a second. First, are you one of the millions of American men or women dealing with premature hair thinning and hair loss? Or maybe you're scared about inheriting that thinning look because it runs in the family. Well, now there is a real solution that delivers on its promise without the harsh side effects, unwanted chemicals, and unpleasant smells. Provia Hair Care uses a safe, natural ingredient called Procapil to effectively target the three main causes of premature hair thinning and loss. Provia supports healthy scalp circulation. It delivers nourishing nutrients to strengthen your hair follicles and anchor them to your scalp. Provia guarantees more hair on your head than in the shower drain, and it's effective for men and women of any age. It's safe on colored, treated, and styled hair. Provia works guaranteed, or 100% of your money back. It is indeed that easy. So take advantage of Provia's exclusive introductory summer package at proviahair.com/Ben. Enter promo code Ben at checkout for an extra discount on your order. See results for yourself right now. Don't wait. proviahair.com/Ben.
Submissive women are more attractive than dominating women.
Oh, hell yeah. Listen, my shirt says submissive women are sexy. Okay, so.
Yeah, it's true, man. It's true. Look, I think one of the most beautiful things about love is being able to fully take care of a woman in every way, whether that's emotionally, protecting, providing, everything about that. Like every fairy tale that was ever written for all of time was about a man saving a woman from a castle and a dragon, right? Or some sort of scenario like that. And I think that's absolutely beautiful. And I have nothing against women being empowered, but I do feel like the happiest women in the world are the ones that look up to a man and that he can fight every day to love her and love his kids and his family and provide and be that source of something to actually look up to. Like, I believe a woman can admire a man and it's very, very, very healthy. Am I saying that somebody that doesn't do that is not a man? No, I would never.
Okay, so a lot of what he's saying there actually is quite true. I object to sort of the dichotomy of the question. Let me begin with this. There is nothing that men dislike more as a general rule than dominating women. Women who seek to dominate men in the sense that they seek to basically overwhelm them with the force of personality. I'm the ruler in this house. Men don't like that. They don't take to that particularly well. I don't think that the opposite of that the ideal is a woman who's like completely submissive in the sense that I think we think of it. Like, I will just take orders from my husband. I will do everything that he could possibly want of me. I will immediately acquiesce to all of his demands and have no opinions of my own. But that's not attractive either. What you want is a strong partner who also respects you.
There were just a few things that I disagree on. I think that in 2023 especially, I think women just want to be able to look to the side and see their partner as an equal. And I think a lot of women now I don't think they're trying to be men. I think what they're realizing is that the qualities that they were looking for in men, they've always had it within themselves. If women are submissive, it's mostly for, I want to say, like, the validation for the man. I think they know in the back of their heads, like, they know now that they can do things on their own. I don't think they necessarily need a man, but I think what they're looking for is that intimacy to have a partner. But I don't think that they require one.
So there's this bizarre idea that's cropped up in modern society because we have to crap on the past in order to make the present feel good, even though the present is significantly worse in terms of marriage and partnership than it was in the past.
Just look at it. Yeah, well, what the heck is that?
The way we do this is we crap on mom and grandma. We pretend that mom and grandma were basically submissive in the kitchen and listening to everything that dad and grandpa were doing, and that basically they were just slaves. And it's not true at all. At all. Savvy, you were talking about, like, granddaughter of Cuban immigrants. Let me ask you, in the house where you grew up, or your grandparents' house, did you feel like grandma was submissive?
Absolutely not.
100% not. Okay, and that's true in virtually all traditional cultures. Okay, a lot of traditional cultures, this notion that like men are just running roughshod over the women, and women are barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, and men are just ignoring them. It's just not true. It's not true at all. Everyone understands that the power locus in the household typically lies inside the household, at least with regard to like day-to-day activities, actually with the woman.
I got children. I don't need somebody else to take care of. And I love your thing about, the Prince Charming and everything. But you know what I need? I need a badass woman who can match my badass energy. I work with my wife, and I'm going to tell you, I take care of her, she takes care of me, and she's badass. And that's what I'm attracted to. I don't need a submissive that I have someone to take care of. And then it's fine. If she goes through that, then I'll be there, and I will take care of her. But I'm not looking for somebody, another child to take care of and have to dominate and tell, you go over there. This is where we're going to go to dinner. This is where we're going to do that. No.
Okay, so again, I think that people are making some semantic errors here. I think that the word submissive has a lot of connotations, and you're seeing the betas read submissive as exactly what I was talking about.
Isn't it like submission? You're under the same mission. Ideally, if you're married, you have the same mission. It's not that complicated.
I mean, that's 100% true, Savvy. I mean, like the goal of a marriage is the marriage.
Let go, Dave.
It's why the institution matters. It's why, for example, living together isn't marriage. The goal of a marriage is that you are oriented in the same direction. And so when both of you are pulling your oars in the same direction, the marriage is successful. And the direction is the preservation of the marriage itself.
A lot of these girls, they usually go home and cry at night from being lonely, from not having a man. They have all these things, and then they're upset they don't have a man.
Fact check, Drew.
You know what I mean? And I heard you say that, women want to be the man's equal, but you don't see, and maybe this could just be a societal thing, a societal pressure, but you don't see women doing things that could make them equal to the men. You don't see the women approaching the men. You don't see the women paying for the dates. You don't see the women being more assertive to the man. You see what I'm saying? So where's that at?
I mean, that's true. What women very often tell pollsters is not exactly what women want for men. Right? This is the very online joke, right? Is that women pretend what they want is the beta, but what they actually want is the alpha. But in the traditional notion, protect, defend, provide, right? That's what actually women want. That's what they want. They've been told by society they're not supposed to want that, and they're very unhappy as a result by every available metric.
You see a high level of women on antidepressants more than ever, right? And I think that's a bunch of women trying to cope with trying to be like a man when really, let me ask you a question. Are you more attracted to a woman that has a high-paying job or to a woman's beauty?
That doesn't matter to me.
It does matter. It does matter to me.
You asked me. You could, but I would like to say a mother figure rather than a woman.
Absolutely not. But I would like to say that you're saying that women, have a higher, have antidepressants, but men, I'm a social worker, so men 1 out of 10 are more likely to experience depression, but more likely to go undiagnosed and not seek therapy or help. So I do think, and women also, you have to consider the fluctuation in hormones, pregnancy, because that can alter, their mental health. So I think that's kind of a moot point, but I feel like, I'm not looking for a mother figure. I'm looking for an equal. So I feel like with, if we're saying that women, you know, they're like going home crying, looking for men, I think it's also that societal pressure that tells you at the same time you have to have multiple women. They're telling the women you have to have that one man, that husband by a certain age, have kids by a certain age. There's more pressure on them than there is men.
Okay, so there is more pressure on women to get married than there is on men to get married. You know why? Because women have a thing called the biological clock. And that biological clock ticks. And then women can't have babies after a certain point. Men can have babies until they are dead, basically.
Al Pacino.
Right, exactly. Al Pacino is still having babies. The idea that this is all social pressure related is ridiculous. Also, the notion that like we're in a society where there's more social pressure now than there was in the 1970s. So here's the problem. The correlation doesn't fit at all. What you would imagine is that as societal pressure to get married and have kids went down in American society, female happiness would go up. Wrongo.
Wrongo.
Again, every social science survey shows that women are less satisfied today than they were in 1970.
All right, last one.
If you and your wife have like a conversation about a disagreement and then you guys like a healthy conversation and then she ends up being right in the situation, would you consider her dominating me?
No, I consider her right.
So what's your definition of like dominant, like you always have to be right? And
No, it's not about right and wrong. It's about who's running the show.
so by her being right, is that not her running?
No, that's just her being right in that conversation.
Yeah, a good leader would allow someone else to be right. A good leader doesn't have to be right. He wants the team to win. In fact, I'd call a man insecure if he wouldn't allow a woman to be right on the subject she was clearly.
I like that.
I do like that. And, you know, it goes back to the question of, like, what do you find more attractive? Because that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's a
That's the
preference.
remember. What's the preference? It's a preference.
Okay, I mean, it's, yeah, there's so much confusion here. So first of all, what I'd like to see is a poll of these men who has a successful, durable marriage, because you're talking about partnership and what all this means. And you can see that everybody is basically coming down on the same side, which is marriage and relationships are a negotiation. And even the guys who are like, I don't want a dominating woman, they're like, yeah, well, if she's right, she's right. Well, that's, again, I think you're just misinterpreting the nature of these words.
I don't understand you. What do you want?
Yeah. So do you think they did a good job definition-wise of alpha and beta with these people?
No, I think they did a bad job definition-wise in terms of alpha versus beta. Because again, I think you have to start, I don't think you can pull your way into are you an alpha or are you a beta without like a clear set of definable terms. Well, folks, there are a lot of videos like this one on YouTube. If you'd like to see me break them down, analyze some of the arguments, then leave us some links in the YouTube comments and we will try to acquiesce to your demands.
I am the alpha of alphas.